Happy holidays, Star Wars fans, and welcome to the Star Wars Questionnaire channel. This is Adam, the Star Wars Questionnaire. This is a two-part series I have actually wanted to do since I originally conceived this channel, exploring the defeat of the Empire in both Legends and Canon. I wanted to explore how this behemoth that dominated the entire galaxy came to fall before a ragtag band of rebels. This first video shall be dealing with the Canon version of the defeat. Anyways, this is how was the Empire defeated in Canon. The New Order had promised peace and stability throughout the galaxy, and for the most part it kept its word, even as it stripped mined many worlds of their resources. However, the Galactic Empire had not conquered the whole of known space, and was still struggling to conquer and annex much of what was known within the borders of known space. Much of this was due to the Separatists. Many still remained true to the ideals of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and for many years fought against the growing empire, slowing its expansion. Also, many planets even within the reach of the Imperial rule refused to give in, like the Wookiees Kashyyyk, causing the empire to grow even more slowly. This resulted in the Galactic Empire, although massive, to be nowhere as large or as secure as Palpatine could have wished for against an uprising. Palpatine served as the Emperor, but had no heirs, either by adoption or birth. He had made few, if any, plans for the continuation of the Imperial dynasty in the event of his death. The Moffs were not given too much authority, and outside of the Imperial ruling council, few had real power. The Senate for all purposes was a sham, simply meant to give the illusion of the people having a voice. Once it was disbanded with the completion of the Death Star, all these political leaders were able to rally their planets to support the rebellion. Even after the destruction of Alderaan and the destruction of the Death Star made it so much easier. Without the Senate, the regional governors were left to their own devices to rule with only the Imperial ruling council and the Emperor to answer to. When the Emperor died, there was nothing to stop them from grabbing their areas and declaring themselves lords. Mas Amedda, who acted as Grand Vizier to the Empire despite his pompous title, only acted as an administrator and had so little real power that every contender of the Empire after the death of the Palpatine Vader could justly say who was Amedda to stop them. The Galactic Imperial military, while large, was by the time of the Galactic Civil War much more concerned with peacekeeping than actual combat. Their training reflected this state in the Stormtroopers. They were not combat-grade troops who were for the most part not being trained as if they were going to be in a real war. In fact, outside of clones who were leftovers of the Jango Fett brand of clones, few of the troopers were actually trained to be effective in real fights. Garrisons seemed to be extremely small in most places, of a couple dozen to maybe a couple hundred at most. Such small garrisons, especially with the lack of training many seemed to have received, were easy to deplete by strike teams of rebels. The Imperial Starfleet was where the true elites ended up serving in. Yet they had small fleets, sometimes of less than 10 ships in a fleet. There were roughly 25,000 Star Destroyers in the entire galaxy, but even many of these crews lacked true hardcore training. Many of their best pilots and stormtroopers deserted the Empire, defected to the Alliance, especially after Alderaan. Examples of this were Wedge Antilles, Big Starklighter, and Hobby. This led to the quality of those who could have helped bolster morale and effectiveness of Imperial units to slump, and for many battles the Empire won, it was simply because they were able to bring so many troops they could overrun their enemies by sheer numbers. Yet after the destruction of the first Death Star, there was a serious manpower problem, especially in the officer corps. By the end of 4 years of fighting, most of their remaining good commanders and troops had been either killed or defected. Combine this with incredibly shoddy equipment, armor that didn't stop anything, helmets that actually decreased to aim, and starfighters without shields, it isn't difficult to imagine their ineffectiveness in most combat scenarios. Outside of a few select officers, such as Grand Admiral Thrawn, the military leadership was also lacking. The leadership of the military was uninspired for the most part. A large portion of the officers fit the description of pencil pushers and theoreticians, better suited for the classroom than the battlefield. Many officers were inflexible, rigid, and unable to react effectively to changes in the flow of combat. There were many bright officers, but there were few who had true overarching command. There were few Grand Admirals and Grand Generals who could take command over entire portions of the Empire's military front. Instead, it was almost entirely of fleet rank admirals, and army commanders had no real authority outside their own fleets and armies. The Empire also didn't have too much of an ability to be flexible with their battlefield tactics. At Scarif, they used waves of Imperial stormtroopers and beach troopers to overwhelm the rebels. At Hoth, they used waves of troops and Imperial walkers to overrun Elko Base. At Endor, they used an entire legion of stormtroopers and scout troopers to try overrunning the rebel saboteurs and their Ewok allies, never varying from their tactics and showing little flexibility in changing battle situations. The Imperial Navy also used the same tactics over and over again. At Lothal, a fighter went in to attack the rebel fleet while the Star Destroyers held position. Scarif, TIEs were sent to swarm the enemy fleet while the Star Destroyers held position. Endor also did a TIE advanced attack while the Star Destroyers held position. By the Battle of Jakku, they were still using the same tactics. They were still using the same tactics at Jakku that had been used 9 years earlier at Lothal. Only one of the before-mentioned battles had the Imperials been outgunned. Beyond that, the Imperial fleet was content to approach fighting the rebels in an almost lazy fashion instead of aggressively crushing them. This lack of ingenuity had allowed the Rebel Alliance to quickly learn the Imperial way of doing war. They adapted their tactics, and the Imperials on the other hand simply didn't change to meet the new threat. And with that, you have the 5 reasons I feel best explain the defeat of the Galactic Empire in canon. Anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed the first of these videos of why the Empire was defeated. Next time we shall explore the reason for the defeat in Legends. Please leave your comments down below on why you think the Galactic Empire is defeated in canon, or any other comments you'd like to leave. Click the link to subscribe and leave your Star Wars questions down below to see more videos in the future. Have a wonderful day, and may the Force be with you.